Yep, well, so it's May 2021. So this is the next project. So it's Devans Nike Mag replicas, and we're going to do an upgrade on these. So very sweet. So literally these are the same, obviously the same ones as I normally use, which is basically the AliExpress ones, and I'm sure other places as well. But these are sweet. So looking nice. So what we're going to do for this is, first of all, a few easy bits. So I've literally just cut these out. Now what I've done is I've cut them a bit smaller, just so they look better. So it's the same original template off my version ones, and yeah, just basically just a bit thinner. Same size here on the swoosh on this part here, but this part here is just a bit thinner, sort of tapers off. So those are nice. Again, the white leatherette. Obviously, I've already ordered these. I've got these in stock for other pairs of shoes I'm going to be doing. So these are the panels, which are actually really nice EL panels. We're going to try initially the 1.5 volts or 1.2 volts, I'm not sure, inverters here. So we'll have a look at those, see how they look. Because obviously we're going to be running the Nike panels here, plus the EL panels in here as well. So we'll see how they look, and if they're a bit weak, then obviously upgrade to the 3 volters. But we'll try them out, and see. But really dirt. All those bits and pieces are dirt cheap, so it's fine. And then we've also got some brand new, of course, 2-into-1 wiring looms. So these ends here, one of these will go to the Nike logo here, and one of them will go down the bottom here. There, also run through the back of the shoe, and then this piece here, it can come out wherever you want it, but the most hidden place is to come out here. Just means that when you put your foot in the shoe, you just put in a little bit careful, but the wire's never going to rip or anything like that, so just be a little bit careful. But yeah, those will come out there, and then we'll plug in the inverter, and then you can sort of tuck it down here, but normally you just tuck it into your sock, and that's the best way, I reckon. And the reason we use those is because these obviously work with the ELs, but they don't work with LEDs, and likewise this panel here, the power supply that's in it, LEDs won't work, won't power ELs. So you kind of have one or the other really, or both, So you'd have either the whole lot ELs or the whole lot LEDs, or 2 power supplies, which is what we're going to run. We're going to put the the Air Mag King Nike Mag letters on the back. That takes a long time, but they do look really good. Plus adjust the hole here slightly in order to fit the proper bubble as well from Air Mag King. So the bubble always looks legendary, much better than the standard bit of clear stuff that comes with it. And that way you can also neaten up all these edges, which are, look like they're being cut out of a hacksaw. They're really bad, but that's the same as all of them. You've got your glue marks on here. You can't really do anything about those, but once I sort of heat this up and peel it off, I'll see if I can adjust it. But otherwise, you'll always have marks and stuff on these shoes, because these are just fair play. They're just the sort of the cheaper shoe. But they'll look quality. Another difficult part, well, to be honest, most of it's difficult. Another difficult part as well is putting the EL panels in here, the half moons. So we know obviously this is a child size shoe, so it's a bit smaller. So the panel's going to be quite a bit bigger in the hole, but I don't think you'll be able to see it. If you do, you might be able to see a bit of the sort of silvery stuff here that comes on the panel. But I think it will look decent. Once it's glowing up, it will look smart as like, and way better than what comes with it. Let me just switch them on actually. It will look way better than that, definitely, way better than that. Yeah, that's cool. We notice there's a little bit of here on the elastic, but we think once the shoe's on, you won't notice it. So it's just stretched a bit. So I'll have a look at that, but I don't know if there's anything I can do about that, because they're stitched in along the sides here. So we'll see. But anyway, and then the last part will be the strap here. So again, we're going to put these babies in. Whoops, try it one-handed. Yeah, those can go in there. So you see, this is another difficult part, because you can see the size of this is pretty much the same size as the strap. So what it is, I'll cut off literally a millimetre or half millimetre from the top and bottom here, those sort of black bits on the back. And then what my normal technique is to super glue all the way along, because you only really need to super glue the middle bit, but if you don't super glue the whole lot then it looks obvious. So super glue the whole lot here, super glue the whole lot at the bottom there, then you slice open the fabric in between. That's 2 pieces of fabric in between their top and bottom. Then you put the panel in, and then you feed the wire through, and then you cut a hole out here, re-glue it, all this sort of stuff. So it's really, really fiddly to make it look nice. You know, you can get it in there quite easily, but you obviously need to try and retain this stitching. You know, you don't really have to go and make whole new panels, which I guess is actually something you probably could do actually. But yeah, there we go. We'll take that apart as careful as possible, and then we'll see what we can do. Yeah, that will look totally sweet. That'll look transformed once we do those upgrades. Cool. And there we go. So that's the next project. So yeah, I'm gonna break out the hot air gun now. I'm gonna loosen off this piece here, and then I'm gonna make a start probably on loosening off these as well, and then we'll see how this comes off. That should come off fine. This is much more difficult to get it off, you know, because it's the type of rubber, it likes to sort of curl in on itself and become soft, so it's very, very difficult to get it off. But also I've done quite a few pairs now, so should be fine. Cool, let's just go for it. Nice one. Right, yeah, part 2. So I've just used super glue. So what you do is you basically put a fine layer of super glue along the stitch itself, along both lengths of stitch there, because otherwise, as soon as because you need to insert the panel between the 2 thin layers of leatherette, and in order to do that you have to get a sharp Stanley knife blade, and you have to then literally slice between the 2 layers through the actual stitch. And if you don't super glue it, then literally all the stitch just falls out, and then you're left with all the holes, and that's it. And then you can't really do anything about that sort of thing other than take all the stitch out and have it as holes and glue it all, which I think probably would actually look okay. But I always try, if I can, to cut it and then insert it. So I wouldn't mind, maybe on the next pair of shoes that I do for myself, is I might actually just slice it through, remove the stitch, and see how it looks, because I guess it is probably just holes, so it might look alright. But for, say, for Devon's pair, you know, again, I'll do my best to insert it with the stitch on, and you can sort of see actually that you know, factory sort of minor defects here, just sort of kind of pointing out. That's all, you know, a few little bits and pieces here, but otherwise pretty good. So that's cool. And here's the shoe. So again, I just use the hot air gun on a sort of on about 1/3 to half setting, and yeah, pulled it out so you can see the remains of the original glue. Because as we saw in the previous video, you know, that when they obviously assembled it, they sort of put a bit of glue, you know, sort of outside of the gaps and all that sort of stuff, and then a little bit there and stuff. So but yeah, there's no damage caused by doing this. So I've just heated it up, and then just pulled the panel out, basically sort of levered the panel out using sort of various plastic sort of iPhone screen tools. So that's cool. So that's all good there. And then this panel here, and this took about, I don't know, about 25 minutes to do this panel. Again, you can sort of see how hard it is, so you have to heat a little bit at a time. Just get your tool in there, start easing it out, and then heat it again, and ease a bit more, and then more heat and easing out again. So yeah, about 25 minutes I think, just to do that panel there. And obviously you can see that, you know, it's pulled away lots of the paint they put underneath it. There's nothing you can do about that, that's just what it is. But once the half moon panel's inserted, that covers up most of that anyway. So you shouldn't, we won't really notice unless you literally specifically look really closely and then look through the rubber. So again, this happens on all of mine, so, and you don't notice it, you know. So yeah, so once I heat this rubber here will actually sort of reform, become a rubber, and then you can push it back into place. So it actually reforms quite nicely. It does. So yeah, and then I just neaten it up, re-glue it obviously with a proper shoe glue, and then go from there. But yeah, that's looking good. Looking good there. Let me just switch it on. There we go, and you can sort of see how it works. So all it is for the bottom, whoops, it's literally just one LED there, one LED there, and then it just has a tube, and the light just refracts through this tube, causing it to look like the whole thing's, you know, as one sort of big illumination, but it's actually just one LED and one LED. There you go. Cool. Okay, I'm going to work on the next one now, and then I can order the bits, you know, order the bits later on tonight. Cool. And actually, there's a point to note, this is the right hand side shoe. Just before I start on this shoe, you can see actually that it's got, just what, again, I want to point this out, just for Devon and Vince, you know, glue marks on here, lots of sort of glue marks across here, along here. So just wanted to point those out, that's all. And some sort of red glue mark here, which is probably the sort of, you know, probably the pen they use maybe to mark up, you know, whether they need to glue it, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just wanted to point out mainly that just those glue marks, that's all. Yeah. It's all good, you know, I just wanted to sort of show that's all, that it's those glue marks, you know, sort of just not from me, that's all. And many of these might come off, so you know, I'll try and get these off, but obviously with paint, you have to be careful what you use. Cool. Okay, all good, all good. Yeah, so this shoe's apart. So yeah, you can see inside here. So obviously here they've added silicone sealant into the bottom of this one, just to sort of bulk out the shoe. I expect, you know, give some additional strength to it. And then there's your LED tube in front of it. And obviously on this, so what we do is, of course, the light, you know, is going to shine through a lot of this. So what we have to do, see, is I'll do my best. Again, this is what I'd have to do on mine, is to scrape off, because obviously you want it clear, so you don't want the remains of this paint here. So what I'll do is I'll scrape this off with a sharp Stanley knife to get as much of it as possible off, because of course anything that's left on that, when you put your EL light on, it obviously illuminates this on the other side. So it's impossible, I kind of feel it's impossible to get rid of everything, but certainly all these big great marks here, which are obviously like paint and glue, I'll scrape off and get rid of those. Smaller bits, again, I'll do my best to get rid of those. But so I get it as good as I can, but obviously it's, you know, it's being glued there and stuff, so this bit here will be fine, that bit there will be fine, this bit here will be best as I can get it, you know. But yeah, that's looking good, looking cool. Nice, I like it, I like it. Cool, okay, excellent. Right, yep, so flicking back to the left one, so of course, a minute ago, well, say half an hour ago, I obviously loosened this off, obviously flapped this down, so the glue was basically removed, and then what I then do is then heat it up again, and get it nice and warm, not ridiculously hot, and then you can basically just push it back into shape, because obviously you want to try and get, you know, the lines, you know, as straight as possible, remove the kinks, all that sort of stuff. You know, there's a little bit of a gap here, stuff like that, but obviously once I reheat it again, once the panel's in and it's glued, obviously I'll give it another light heat. I'll try and then push that bit back up and obviously put the glue on and hold it in place and stuff like that. But so that's now warmed up, and then you can put your clean screwdriver in, and then you can just release it. So now we've got, you know, our panel basically ready to insert. Like I mentioned to you on that shoe, there was a lot of residue on there. So this is, I've just heated this shoe and pushed it back into place again. I'm just letting it cool down. There's lots of residue here. Also on the adults version, you have much bigger half moons on the shoe, so therefore you have a much bigger area that has no glue on it. So it's when you put the panel in, it's not, you know, you don't really notice any speckles. But also on these ones here where the half moon is so small, I'd imagine that the new moon will overlap all of that, come over to here somewhere, then a little bit of a gap here, then quite a bit bigger than this, whoops, in there. So that's when it's going to highlight, you know, all the bits of glue and the bits of paint that is peeled off, you know, in these sort of sections around here. So again, like I said to you a minute ago, I'll do my best to scrape off as much as I can. The difficult thing is the fact that it's paint and it's mixed in with glue, proper shoe glue, and that's then bonded, of course, really firmly to the rubber. So it's not like glue, you can't just scrape it gently and it falls off, you know, it requires sort of cutting, scraping and cutting, you know. So yep, I'll do my best. and get it looking as nice as I can. But that's just a bit of a issue with a child-sized shoe, the Half Moon size. Otherwise, all good. So now I'm gonna now this is dried off with the super glue. I'm now going to attempt to slice open this and hopefully keep as much of this stitching as possible. If it all goes badly, not to plan, then I'll just have to remove all the stitching and then just glue it. And I think, to be honest with you, it'll still look good anyway. So it's just one of those things, we just have to, because it's so thin. It really is thin. Okay, let me go for it. Cool. Right, yeah, all going well. So yeah, I managed to slice through here nicely. So that's cool. Yeah, all came apart fine actually, luckily. So that technique seems to have worked. So that's good. So that's a super glue technique. So now you notice that this panel here would say go roughly here, in between that. So that's fine. So in a minute I'm going to mask this up. I've got a template for this for the Nike. And then what I do is I put some metal on the other side and then cut through with a really sharp blade and try and get as neat as possible, central as possible, in the right position, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's quite a difficult one to get it spot on. So I'll do my best for that one. And then of course then the cable runs alongside here into this section here, then obviously into the shoe. So I've just removed the stitch for that as well. So that's fine for that side. And then this side is different because you notice that these Nike logos, they all come in one direction. So they all come in with the wire going this way. So obviously if you put that panel in there, the wire's obviously going that way. It's not going to work. The wire needs to go left. So what I do is flip this around to the other side. So that's now on there, and then flip that around to that side. Excuse the camera work. I'm not going to bother editing this. Can't be bothered. There you go. And now that can go into to there, and obviously the wire will go this way. So all that means is that you have the strap on the same side of the shoe. So on a genuine pair, say this piece here would be, say on your left shoe for example, it would be on the left side, and on the right shoe it would be on the right side. What this means here just means that the strap is on the left side of your left shoe and the left side of your right shoe. So exceptionally minor, but a nice little, I think, a nice little clever way of doing it. You don't really want to be folding it back like that and gluing it and losing, this amount of material and all that sort of stuff. It makes it all a bit tight and stuff like that. So that's the technique. So yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to take this inside now, put them on the wooden board so I can line it up, put this on the shoe, get them, where I believe is central to Devon's foot, so I do them again as best as I can. I'll cut them out. Nice. Yep, also these are looking good. So as you can see, I've just spent quite a while using the board, brand new sharp knife, metal ruler, etc. to basically cut out, as hopefully central as I can for the shoe, each panel. So I've done it. Just put the first layer of glue around. So that's cool. The other one's there, which looks good. And obviously I removed this end here so I can flip one of them around as well, so both of the straps are on the same side. That way the wiring can go straight through here, because remember I said in the previous video, the wiring is only one-sided. They don't make a left and a right side wiring, so that's good. These are the bits I've cut out, and again, once they're cut out and it's all glued, then you can go around really neatly and put a bit of additional sort of sharp knife around it, making sure it's as best as it can be. Make any little errors, any little cuts, I can sort of super glue up shut as well. And then I can attach that piece there on, and then glue that up, and then that strap is then done for the, and then that can then dry over a few days, and that can then be ready to attach to the shoe. And then of course we've got to cut the hole out of the back here to feed the wire from here through the back, and then obviously up here, and then we have to then basically remove the insoles, cut through the bottom there to get to the wiring, which I'm going to poke through here, so I can insert the EL panel hopefully into here, and then basically get all these LEDs, and then basically you poke the wiring from there, obviously round the top through the holes you've cut, then feed it up the back here, and then join it up to the connector, and then push it down and to hide it. So it's quite complex, but that way you then just see one wire coming out here, and you don't see the joins and the connections which are sort of pushed down inside the shoe. Cool, excellent. Yeah, you kind of need all this stuff, you know, to do it. But yeah, it's happy days, looking good. Yep, hi Devon. So the last one for today, so it's looking pretty sweet. So what I'll do is you'll be seeing this video on YouTube in a minute actually, so I'll create it and upload it. But obviously, just to bear in mind, it's not as standard as your guys, you know, videos. Haha. Anyway, here we go. So looking pretty good. So this is obviously overnight. The glue's had a chance to go off. So yeah, we've got the panels on. Look cool. Also, just put them on just quickly, you know. Yeah, panels look good. Really nice. Those are looking cool. Custom ticks. So you've got a little bit of a mark here, but that's just where the where it's been pegged overnight. That's also that should you know, be less obvious later on. It's just a little dent where so it's been pegged tight to hold that particular sharp piece in place. Yeah, and I'll just put some additional glue under these middle bits here, because basically there's quite a big gap, see, as there always is underneath here. So you put a big wad of glue underneath there, and underneath that one there. That's all glued. It all looks nice around there. So that's cool. Obviously your panels are off, ready to ready to get the new bubbles, and then file down these with a power tool, a small power tool that I use to make them a little bit bigger, but also to get rid of like the little marks here. And remember, we said, didn't we, there was some glue marks on here as well. So I'll see if I can do anything with the glue marks. But you know, obviously you can't use most products. You can't use because it's painted. So I'll just see if I can get something like that off. It might just scrape off, you know, because I don't want to ruin the paint. These panels, of course, are all loose and back in again. So I can put the panel in, see how it looks, adjust the panel if we need to the EL panel, and then we can, like we said, you know, 100%, because your areas, your bubble holes are much smaller. We said, didn't we, that the light will overlap these painted areas here, so I'll have to do my best to try and scrape off as much of the paint and bits and pieces on there. I won't be able to get it all off, just to warn you, sort of thing, you know. But I'll try and get I will get as much off as I possibly can get off, you know, because obviously we said, didn't we, the bubbles will go much further over, you know, on here. So that's a point to note, but that will all be good. But I think that looks really good. Again, I haven't put the wiring through yet through the shoe. I'm not going to do the wiring through yet until the base panels arrive. Then obviously I can connect up that, put the wiring through for that, and then connect up all the wiring in the back of the shoe. So that's cool. Same for the other one. Again, looks really, really good. So you've got this little mark there, so where it's been pegged. This is all original. It's got a few little marks here, but those will come off. That's again, it's just where it's been pegged overnight as well. But all looks good round here. Extra glue underneath here. Minor point to note: there's a little bit of glue left over on top overnight. It must have seeped out on top of the white bit here. So I put a tiny little dab of Tipp-Ex just on here. I did try and scrape it off gently with a rubber, but it wasn't going anywhere. So I think it must be sort of a bit more ingrained. So it's only a tiny weeny bit, but you can see I've put a bit more Tipp-Ex on it. And again, this panel here is all loose. Now ready to go. And also, so you put your Tipp-Ex on top here, because when you join these together, you can see your black plastic in between, because obviously the black plastic is pretty much the same size as that. So again, all I do is just put a coat of the same Tipp-Ex on here. And what you can do, you know, if you wanted to detail it yourself even further, you know, I will sort of rub it down a little bit, but you can also put a bit more Tipp-Ex on, you know, if you want to. Just, you know, if you want to do the whole lot or whatever. But I think that looks really good. But yeah, that looks cool. Hope you're pleased with those so far. So yeah, I've ordered the bits from, I've ordered the bubbles here, and I've talked to Air Mag King about getting the bubbles and the writing for the back. And I've got the wiring loom on order, and the 2 small power supplies are coming on order as well. So yeah, it's all en route. Excellent. Enjoy.